Now, it's pretty much universally known at this point that Snow White 2024 is going to be by far the biggest box office failure on Disney's end of things, most likely when it comes to their Disney remakes, and there's a main reason why. They are really tampering with their true legacy, where Disney really all began with animated movies, Snow White back in 1937, of course, and what really kind of put them on their legs with the animation material and all of those Disney stories that so many kids actually grew up with for the past number of decades. And now what they're embracing with the 2024 remake, based on the leaked photographs and everything happening behind closed doors, it's not looking good for Disney. Let's just put it that right there. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support, and let's get right into exactly what's going on with the story and the plot of Snow White 2024, and exactly how it completely dismantles the original 37 movie, and how it really is a true embarrassment to the general public that really cherished the original. Now, we know that Bob Iger made this statement like about a year ago, promising everybody that this was going to be a beat-for-beat remake of the 1937 Snow White movie, and it turns out that was a big, fat lie. Because just yesterday, Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot really did make a confirmation that this film is all about Snow White not needing a Prince Charming, not needing true love, and becoming a leader, essentially. And so that really, in and of itself, really kind of takes away from the core values of the original film. Something that is sparking even more criticism now. Now, on top of this, with Snow White 24 going through major backlash and criticism moments due to the leaked photographs of the seven dwarfs, one major development surrounding the plot of Snow White 2024 will certainly shift many people away from this film completely. Now, one major scene in the film that was shot back in 2022 was how Disney completely changed the scene from the original, in which Jonathan, who is the new love interest apparently in this film, tries to save Rachel Zegler's Snow White from when she is fighting the evil queen, portrayed by Gal, where she reportedly was instructed to deliver a line of dialogue telling Jonathan that she does not need saving, and to why run away from something that you are not scared of. Zegler's portrayal of Snow White in many scenes when facing the evil queen is that she is fearless against her motives and power. Another scene that was shot back in 2022 of June that also dismantles the seven dwarfs in the original 37 movie is that Zegler's Snow White is naming all of the dwarfs, of course, that are now called the magical creatures by Disney reportedly, where she names all the classic dwarf names, and then get this, stops at the last one and says that she doesn't have a name for him. This name is no other than Dopey, and Disney felt that using the name Dopey would be too offensive to the general public during these times of a wider audience and to kids and to a young moviegoer. Reportedly, Snow White only names 6 dwarfs in total in Snow White 2024, and Dopey is not even said once. Let me stop here quick. Are we really at this point where this is how delicate Disney thinks the population really is, that using a name Dopey is going to be that offensive? Let's not forget that this film, widely popular, still very relevant, and is in, pop culture, Snow White 37 will never be forgotten for the seven dwarfs' names, including Dopey, one of the most famous ones of all, right? The fact that they went through and decided that Zegler would name all 6, stopping at Dopey, where she can't come up with a name for him. In this film, she's naming them, and she can't give him a name, Dopey. And that just goes to show you that Disney is so out of touch with reality. They are living in their Hollywood bubble. They don't know what they're doing. Bob Iger has not got a clue on what, the world is like. And things are being played way too safe. Let's just put it that way, to the point where it's just flat out pathetic. It's embarrassing. And this movie needs to be scrapped. It needs to be destroyed and never see the light of day. That's how I believe that this movie needs to end up going. So, on to the next piece. This is where things get even worse. is that so far, based on developments, Dopey is never mentioned in this movie from start to finish. On top of that, the 3 filmed scenes that were shot of the Evil Queen's death, one of which is still being decided upon if it's going to be involved in the final cut, that were shot involved Zegler's Snow White defeating her with a magical weapon created by the 7 dwarfs to take on the Evil Queen. The magical weapon appears to be a kind of staff with a gem attached to the end of it that is said to be a magical gem that the dwarfs mined from a cave that can combat the Evil Queen's transformed state into a weakened state. The concept in this film is for Snow White to become a leader and in no need of a Prince Charming or true love, and to learn to become a leader as her father once taught her. However, this queen's death was one of 3 that were filmed. Now, here's the problem that I have, again, with this movie. They kind of are borrowing elements, I would say, of Snow White and the Huntsman, which I still believe to this day is really a subpar film. That's how I view it, that's my opinion. You guys may agree or disagree, but I feel that was probably one of the worst retellings of Snow White. It did not work. Kristen Stewart underdelivered. It just was flat out a very underwhelming, boring movie to me. And that's just my opinion. You know, we'll keep it at that. But Snow White 2024, the problem that I think a lot of people are having is how Disney promised that this was going to be like The Lion King. Back in 2019, of course, where it is a beat-for-beat remake of the original animated film, and it turns out that was a lie. This is not even close to the original 1937 movie, so things changed along the way. We do know, by the way, a lot of reshoots were done, back in 2022. This is why this movie is coming out well over a year after filming was wrapped. Put that into perspective. They stopped filming. They were finished back in July of 2022. That was a whole year ago already. And this thing ain't coming out until March. So there's a lot of things coming out of Snow White. You have Dopey getting excluded by name. You have this whole system of Zegler's Snow White fighting the Queen, which, I think is absurd. And then you have, on top of that, a lot of other elements of Jonathan trying to stop Snow White from battling the Evil Queen, where she tells him that she doesn't need saving, and that why run away from something that you're not scared of. So basically what we're getting is a Snow White that is fearless, holds no fear against her enemies, and does not seem to be vulnerable in this movie. And I think that's a really bad approach, to the point that I think most certainly this will be the worst movie release of all time under Disney. I think it could very well be the biggest box office failure, like I stated before earlier in this video. It could very well end all with Snow White as far as at least the Disney remakes go. I think they're going to stop after this one if it gets that bad. So anyway, guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. No, I'm from night to moon.